Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
April 20, 2020, the Deepwater Horizon edition. First up, Google wants to muzzle the advertising auditor OpenSlate. OpenSlate works with companies to provide their clients with information to confirm their ads on YouTube are appearing alongside content marketers deem safe. Google does not want OpenSafe to tell its clients about illegal or adult content or hate speech or children's content and ads of that nature. So OpenSlate has declined to sign the contract, and Google says that it will work with the company, but it does not want this information shared. All I can say is, are you surprised that Google wants to hide this information? I'm not. Next up, what's going to be the next big shortfall in around the coronavirus? Well, it could be meat processing plants, as there are enough cows in the food supply, but the bottleneck may be vulnerable people who work in these plants. COVID-19 has sickened workers and forced slowdowns and closures of some of the country's biggest meat processing plants, reducing production by much as 25%. and sparking fears of yet another round of hoarding. If you shop or eat at Chick-fil-A, you're probably well aware of the campaign to eat more chicken. Well, you may be eating a lot more chicken because of these shutdowns at the facilities where large amount of meat is processed. Smithfield, the biggest pork processor, the world's biggest pork processor, will shut down its South Dakota plant indefinitely because of the large number of employees who have tested positive for coronavirus. So could be a significant problem going forward. Next up, companies are trying to get testing kits for COVID-19 as the economy gets ready to open back up. Of course, that presupposes that the administration would actually allow them to do so, since they have not provided tests for hospitals across the country. And of course, if you work in a blue state, the administration is actively withholding equipment. So as regular tests to keep exposure to sick employees to a minimum and boost employees' confidence becomes more prevalent, companies face many hurdles in building this capacity going forward. And finally, on a very melancholy note, we note this is the 10-year anniversary of the Deepwater Horizon tragedy. The impact of the Deepwater Horizon on British Petroleum and the offshore industry is still being played out, and the loss of life of men on the Deepwater Horizon still resonates today. BP is a profitable but much smaller company, having paid nearly $70 billion in fines. The impact on regulatory safety regulations has been decimated by the Trump administration in their ever-expanding quest to make it less safe for American workers. So think about the Deepwater Horizon and the men who lost their lives today, as it was 10 years ago this day that the tragedy occurred. I hope you have checked out my new podcast on compliance and coronavirus that I started to bring sanity and clarity to the compliance practitioner. I am having as diverse a input of stories that I can, from successfully working at home to navigating compliance during the difficult times, and a wide variety of others. So check out Compliance and Coronavirus. It comes up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 a.m. on the Compliance Podcast Network. You're staying safe, self-distancing, and isolating during this time. Thank you for listening. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.